Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 238. Jam-packed show today. We have a conference finals. We are going to have a new champion. For the first time in the history of the NBA, there is not in the Final Four a single person who has ever won a league MVP. It's the first time we've ever had a conference finals that does not have someone who has already won a league MVP. It's almost like maybe we've been giving those MVPs out to the wrong person. But listen, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the games. Damonza's here. I'm fresh off a trip from Los Angeles. It was great to see you. Bit of a surprise. I surprised Damonza at work. I don't know how much he appreciated that. I also think there's probably some weird inter-office politics he has to deal with when I come in, but that's fine. I don't mind making a few other people feel a little uncomfortable at times if need be. But it was great to see you. We shared two outstanding meals, a nice little crawfish feast, even though it's not really the season, and then some great dumplings. So that was wonderful. I played in a poker tournament. We'll see if we have time to get to that. But we've got to get to Nuggets Timberwolves. So let's get to what missed the cut. Here is what is not in today's show. The NBA All-Rookie team being announced, don't care. These other two things I do care about, actually. Thursday's show is going to be an odd one. Because I didn't want to discuss the Harrison Butker thing in, just a small soundbite. And then the Scheffler thing happens. And so Thursday's show, we're going to talk about the cops and Harrison Butker. Just letting you guys know right now. So it'll be a little bit of a different show. It'll be a good show, but that's what we're doing on Thursday. Also, the Red Lobster, please, America, do not buy into the stupid, inaccurate headlines that Red Lobster, American institution, it went belly up because of endless shrimp. They went belly up for the same reason countless of our institutions have gone belly up. They got bought and stripped clean by private equity. Private equity bought Red Lobster, then bought the land that the Red Lobster stores were on, then leased the land back to Red Lobster at an exorbitant rate. They couldn't service the debt. They couldn't pay for it. And now Cheddar Bay biscuits are gone. That's what happened. Damonza somehow just slid off the screen. I don't know what's going on in that regard. I do see Timberwolves there. Maybe that was on purpose. Damonza, let's get to the actual show. Oh, he's back. Okay, thanks, pal.
All right, so a classic two by you. Denver was bounced by Minnesota and had the largest blown lead in a Game 7 in history. You're celebrating like you nailed the series, or like Denver didn't get Minnesota didn't win by the skin of your teeth. Sorry, but you didn't even make a pick. So go ahead and take your victory lap. I know there's going to be plenty you got to talk about with Jokic and probably even LeBron somehow. So we're going to put 35 minutes up on the clock for this topic alone, and the fans will be able to vote on the side if you'll make the time or not.
Okay, so you're giving me 35 minutes to discuss.
Under, over, to be specific. Sorry, guys.
Okay, yeah, so people can vote in the chat. That's fine. No, this wasn't a classic two by me. Because you're right. I didn't make a pick in the series. And then when I did, I think I ended up saying Nuggets in 7. At the very end. And so, no, I don't get credit for this series pick. And I am not going to do anything unfair or untoward when discussing one of the biggest collapses in NBA history. What I am going to do is give a fair appraisal of what happened. And the Timberwolves obviously deserve credit, and so let me give that on the front end. But as often happens in sports, the bigger story is the loser, particularly because we're going to have more time to talk about the winner. And listen, I haven't bought so much into the Anthony Edwards, Michael Jordan comparisons, but if this guy's going to be able to be, pretty damn inefficient in a massive spot and then get all the credit for the win. Maybe he's more like Jordan than I thought. I mean, my goodness gracious. But in seriousness, Anthony Edwards finding a way to put his imprint on the game despite being 6 of 24 is what great players do. As far as biggest Game 7 comebacks, on that list is some iconic games. Biggest second half Game 7 comebacks. This is the biggest by far. 20 points in the second half. But on that list are the 2000 Blazers, Lakers, the game that kind of culminated in the Kobe to Shaq lob, and then Kobe or Shaq running up the court, pointing at Kobe. That was the 2000 Blazers. Shaq and Kobe came back there. Another game in the Western Conference Finals, another Game 7 comeback was the 2010 NBA Finals, Celtics-Lakers, where Kobe was exactly 6 of 24, like Anthony Edwards was, but added 15 rebounds. Ron Artest, now meta world peace, hit the huge three, and the Lakers get that title. So Anthony Edwards was not the star of this game, but never lost his confidence. The two guys on the Timberwolves side of things that I want to give massive credit to are two guys that I have been very critical of. First one is Rudy Gobert. And unlike Draymond Green, just because I've been critical of Gobert in the past, I'm not going to be dishonest about his impact. He, in these playoffs, has the best plus-minus differential of any player. In this series, the Timberwolves crushed when he was on the court, and aside from Game 2, got crushed when he was off the court. In this series, his ability to roam, which is his defensive assignment, allowed for them to shut off the water for everyone but Joker. And this idea that, if you're the defensive player of the year, it is your responsibility to shut down the best offensive player in the league is belied by history. A fun fact for you, and again, I have been critical of Rudy Gobert in the past because of his playoff deficiencies. They did not show up here. There are not many 4-time defensive player of the years. Rudy Gobert is one of them. Another one is Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo once in the NBA Finals had to play the best player in the league, Shaquille O'Neal. In those finals, what did 4-time Defensive Player of the Year Dikembe Mutombo hold Shaquille O'Neal to? The answer is nothing. He didn't hold him to anything. Shaq averaged 33, 16, and 5 on 57% shooting. Also, the idea that the Defensive Player of the Year must have an ego where I am going to abandon what my team wants me to do. Instead, I am going to guard the other guy's best player. Draymond knows better than that because in every damn finals he played LeBron James, he didn't guard LeBron James. Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP for holding LeBron James to 36, 13, and 9 for the series because the Warriors' defense was unlocked by Draymond guarding the other team's worst player and roaming. The same thing the Timberwolves do with Rudy. So shout out to Rudy. The other guy is Cat. Cat, who I have considered a good stats, bad team guy, not a winner, not committed defensively, kept them in this game in the first half. When Anthony Edwards had nothing, when Rudy was fumbling with the ball, there were multiple times when it looked like the Nuggets were going to blow it open. And there was one possession in particular. The Nuggets had just gone up 15 late second quarter, and Cat hit a 3 to cut it to 12. Cat also, because of his strength, was able to do something so that when the Lakers played the Nuggets, The Lakers had Anthony Davis doing what Rudy does, or they tried that multiple times. You roam, but then Rui had to do what Cat did, which is you guard Jokic. The problem is when Jokic would back into Rudy, Rudy would get knocked backwards 5 feet. When Jokic knocked into Cat, Cat stood his ground and was able to stifle him a bit. Now, again, Jokic was phenomenal in games 4 and 5 and was, I thought, good. Not great, but good in game 7. But Karl Anthony Towns kept them in this game, played solid defense, winning basketball. So those guys get credit. No question about it, they get credit. And now we get to have what will go down as one of the greatest series in NBA history from a shit-talking perspective between Luka and Ant. I mean, it is going to be in multiple languages. It is going to involve snarls. It is going to involve, I imagine, bad breath. I can't wait for it. But we'll talk more about that later when we talk Luka. Now, we do need to do the Nuggets piece of this. This is a historic collapse. There is no way around that. There is no out for that. There is no excuse for that. You are the defending champions, up 3-2 against a team with no history, no pedigree, no champions. In fact, the only guy on this team who had played in a single game bigger than every game of this series was Mike Conley a decade ago. And once you go up 3-2 with a fully healthy team, and that part's important, you're down by 50 in game 6, and you lose game 7 at home despite being up 15 at halftime and 20 in the second half. The Nuggets starting lineup, Damonza, going into this series, had lost 2 games ever against Western Conference teams in that building. Ever. When it's Jamal, MPJ, Gordon, Jokic, KCP. That's starting 5. At home, against the West, playoffs and regular season combined, had lost twice ever. They lost 3 times in this series, including a historic collapse in a game 7 at home. So, how and why does that happen? Go ahead, Damonza, if you want to jump in real quick before I keep going.
The history. I don't know how much more history do the Nuggets have than the Timberwolves. I guess they won the finals last year.
I mean, they're the defending champion. That's the history. The history is right now they're the defending champion. Every single guy playing for the Nuggets played in games, bigger games, 11 months ago. 0 guys playing for the Timberwolves, except for Mike Conley, had ever played in a bigger game in their career. They were at home. They had a lead. And this was not a scenario where the other team gets red hot and runs away and hides. No. And this is what makes the collapse harder to swallow. This game was a possession game the bulk of the fourth quarter. And the Nuggets did not have answers. So the Timberwolves go on the great run at the end of the third quarter to cut a 20-point lead to a 19-point lead. They then take a 3-point lead early in the fourth quarter. Michael Porter Jr. hits the one shot he hits seemingly the whole game to tie the game at 72 apiece. They then just don't have answers. They have opportunity after opportunity And their possessions go like this. Joker missed 3. And Joker shot 26.4% from 3 this postseason. It was a weakness for him this postseason. Last year he couldn't miss. This year he couldn't hit it. That 26.4%, by the way, is the exact to the 10th of a percentage that LeBron actually shot from 3 last postseason when folks were speculating should they give LeBron the Dillon Brooks treatment, dare him to shoot. Great players go cold from 3 at times. It happens, but it hurt him. Jokic misses a 3. Next Denver possession, Michael Porter misses a 3. Next Denver possession, Jokic hits his one of his 2 threes for the game. Now, again, 8 minutes left, down 2. The next possession is when Rudy hit the turnaround, and you're down 4. That then led to a Aaron Gordon missed layup, followed by an Aaron Gordon turnover. Joker, however, follows that up with his other made 3 of the game. And again, you're down just 3 points. And they just can't connect. MPJ misses a 3. Joker gets his shot blocked. And then when Jamal makes a couple plays, and again you're down 3, it goes Joker missed layup, turnover Jamal, Joker missed 3, and all of a sudden you're down 10. And Anthony Edwards is mother effing that old man in the crowd, and it's good night, good luck. So how did you get here? So what happened? And how rare is this? And what do you do moving forward? Those are the questions for Denver. So I want to start with how rare is this? Because right now, what everyone's saying, oh man, 6 different champion in the last 6 years. This is the new NBA. Not really. So, how rare is it for a whole defending champion that is healthy to get not follow up their title defense with anything? Well, we can go through it, guys. And we can go all the way back to 1980. The 80s are very simple to go through. The Celtics were in it won 3 titles, went to 5 finals. The Lakers won 5 titles, went to 8 finals in the 80s. The Sixers didn't defend their title well, but it was their 4th trip to the finals. That was kind of their last stand. The Pistons obviously went to 3 straight finals, won 2. The Bulls defended their title every year that Michael Jordan started the year with the team. The Rockets won a title and defended it, right? So now we're through the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, the Spurs won a title and then ran into the Lakers repeatedly. The Lakers win 3. The Spurs then, win another one on the back end of that. The Pistons win a title and then go back to the finals the very next year in a Game 7. The Heat did not defend their title well at all. And it's a kind of a weird spot for them. You can say Shaq got old, but he played another 4 years. The Shaq D-Wade Heat did not defend their title well at all. The Spurs obviously won 5 total titles. The Celtics go in 2008. They're injured win in 2008. They're injured in 2009. They're back there in a Game 7 NBA Finals in 2010. The Lakers win a title and defend it, win another one. The Mavs, 2011, win that title and don't defend it at all, and it's kind of a weird one, right? Obviously, the Heat win 2. The Spurs win their last one. We then have the Warriors go on their run. The Cavs, how do they defend their title? They go back to the NBA Finals. And then we get to this weird era, right? But over the last 40 years, there was the 04 Heat, where it's like, what the hell happened? Not 04, pardon me. The 06 Heat, what the hell happened there? The 2011 Mavs. Okay. 2019 Raptors. They didn't defend their title at all. Kawhi Leonard left. The 2020 Lakers, they didn't defend their title at all. Anthony Davis injured in the playoffs. The 2021 Bucks, they didn't defend their title at all. Chris Middleton, injured in the playoffs, misses all of round 2. The 2022 Warriors, they didn't defend their title at all. What happened? Well, Draymond Green punched one of his teammates and the season went to hell from the beginning. The 2023 Nuggets didn't defend their title at all. What happened? Well, that's the question. What happened? Was it injuries? No.
I think the Bucks one's a little weird. They still had Giannis. I guess they lost Chris Middleton, but they still had the best player, what was considered to be the best player at the time. And
but we know what happened. We know what their second best player was out, and they lost they lost in round. Like, you can say they shouldn't have lost it. And by the way, we can pause on the Bucks thing because I'm good with a lot of these Bucks conversations. I'd like to have them, but I still think at least they had you can say the Bucks looked like the overwhelming favorite. Chris Middleton gets injured early in round 1 and does not come back, and they end up losing in 7 to Boston. If Jamal Murray had missed the last 10 games for the Nuggets, it does feel differently. Flatly, it does. And so the question is, what happened? Why were they not good enough? And I know folks are going to expect right now that I'm going to hang this on Jokic. I'm not. Game 4 and 5 by Jokic in this series were as close to perfect offensive basketball as one can play. And Game 7, he was good. I don't think he was great. I thought he was good in Game 7.
Lost.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But here is what happened was, in my opinion, was nothing happened. This is about what is supposed to happen for any team in league history that is not either a legendary all-time dynastic team or any team that doesn't have one of the 7 or 8 best players in the history of the sport on it. This is how it can go. You won a title. It was unbelievable. You were the deserving champion, but you're not a dynasty. And the questions all of a sudden are about to get a lot harder, because when you look at the Nuggets moving forward, what are they going to do with KCP, who is a pending free agent, assuming he opts out? You desperately need him. Are you going to pay him? Because you weren't able to keep Bruce Brown. And Bruce Brown, if he were playing in these playoffs, maybe you win. You missed him. Michael Porter Jr. is on the books for $35 million, $38 million, $41 million. Is that the best use of that money? Aaron Gordon has a player option after next season. You desperately need him. He's making $25 million a year. And Jamal Murray, you have to extend this offseason, and then you have to delicately, gently say, hey, Jamal, if for the first time in your career you could come into a season in shape rather than play yourself into shape, it would be helpful. Everyone's like, man, Jamal Murray, he goes to this different level in the playoffs. Like, well, he goes to a different level by the end of the season because he's at peak condition. He's at his peak playing shape, and caught up to him a bit this year. And so it gets hard and it gets tough, and that's why sports are great. But it's also why, and now I will circle back around, it's also why so much of the commentary and the accolades about this team always felt like we were 2 steps ahead of reality. It always felt like we were trying to press fast forward on eras and places in history and throwing terms around like better than Akeem Olajuwon. And I just wanted us to wait a beat. I just wanted us to know definitively the simple question of, is Nikola Jokic, forget where he is in history, is he the best player of his own era? Because I don't know the answer to that. I do not know who is going to be better, him or Giannis. And let's see how this next month goes and whether or not my guy Luka really throws himself in that conversation. Because right now, Jokic, Giannis are, one is 43 and 36 in the playoffs. One is 44 and 36 in the playoffs. One has 3 MVPs. One has 2 MVPs and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. One has 2 conference finals appearances. One has 2 conference finals appearances. One defended their title by losing in 7 in round 2. The other defended their title by losing in 7 in round 2. Both guys had epic all-time championship runs culminating in brilliant NBA finals. And one guy hasn't been close to being back there since. The other guy, we'll see. Giannis has 6 All-NBA caliber seasons. Jokic has 5. Giannis has 5 first-team All-NBAs. Jokic has 3. Right now, on the pyramid, on the lists, they've got to be neck and neck. And I am not going to sit here and kill Joker for them not defending their title, just like I didn't sit here and kill Giannis for them not defending theirs. But let's just take a beat on the anointing and on the greatest offensive player we've ever seen stuff. Just a breath. And let's also remember, for the guys in that upper crust, they lived in late May and early June after a ton of long seasons. Magic went to 9 finals. Kareem went to 10. Bron's been to 10. Steph has been to 6. Shaq went to 6. Kobe went to 7. Okay? Duncan went to 6. Bird went to 5. Jordan went to, obviously, 6. Russell, I know it's, we don't talk about Russell. Russell went to 12. Okay? Wilt went to 5. Those guys that we are so quick to elbow out of and Dream, who I didn't mention, Dream went to 3. Dr. J, who we throw out, went to 4 in the NBA, 2 in the ABA. So that's 6. Durant, who has been just cast aside entirely for Jokic. Entirely. Durant has been to 4. Well, 1 with the Thunder, 3 with the Warriors. So, because Durant took the Thunder there when he was 23. Long time ago. So let's just, all I'm asking, Dirk. Now, Dirk's to me, a guy Jokic has ascended past, but it's not miles apart. Dirk went to 2. 1-1, a single league MVP for him as opposed to 3 for Joker. And this is why the MVP stuff, I must admit, does
never gonna forget
irk
that
me
MVP
just a
thing.
bit. Well, because so much of the commentary around this player and this team would have been more measured and would make more sense if he was, as he probably should be, a 2-time MVP. It's like, okay, then we can have a real conversation, like Durant versus Joker. One's got 1 MVP, one has 2, but he did this. Dirk versus Joker. One has 1 MVP, one has 2, but he did this. And I'd have Joker ahead of Dirk. Those things. But it's the premature MVPs on the front end, and now the deserved ones on the back end, add it to where it's like, well, the guy does have the same number of MVPs as Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And so what are we talking about here? He does have as many as Durant, Shaq, and Kobe combined. So what are we doing here? And all I want is an accurate reading of the story. And the story here is Joker was good enough for his team to advance. His teammates were not. And I also think Jamal Murray and Michael Malone needed a bit of a reality check. Both of them. Both of those guys, while excellent, had been living in a luxury penthouse paid for by their best friend. And while, listen, they kicked in and they helped and they were good at what they did, both of those guys started, in my opinion, carrying themselves as if it was a big 3 situation. When it was more, he's Bruce
that's
Springsteen,
a little unfair to Jamal
and you're
Murray.
the E Street Band. What do you mean? What's unfair to Jamal Murray? Tell me.
I mean, he's hitting game winners. He carries the load when he needs to. I think he might be in a little, to the Denver. I think he might be being a little unfair to the surrounding cast because they had a bad game 7. I get that, but they did get it to a game 7 after going down 0-2 from home. And it's like those guys usually.
But how did they fall
perform.
down 0-2 at home? How did they? Wait a second. How did they fall down 0-2 at home? Were they not? Were they absent from those games? Part of the reason they were in the hole, and then hold on. You said I'm being unfair to Jamal Murray. Tell me again. I'm going to keep up with this Giannis Jokic conversation. Okay. Tell me the massive distinguishing factor between Jamal Murray and Chris Middleton. I want to know it. Because I saw Chris Middleton hit game winners in the playoffs. I saw Chris Middleton be an awesome Robin to a clear-cut Batman. I saw all of it. What I didn't see was Chris Middleton handle the adversity the way Jamal did. I didn't see that. And what I didn't see from Coach Bud was him, finally, it's like, oh, kind of deal. I didn't see Coach Bud when they won, preen, the way I saw Michael Malone. And I didn't see Coach Bud when they lost, throw a tantrum. I didn't see those things. And so I'm not saying, again, Jamal Murray is as good as any player in NBA history to never be an all-star. He's probably the best ever in that group. So that's kind of, it's a weird category to be in, but he is an excellent number 2 who had a rough postseason. It's fine. But there was a level of, to me, unearned, I don't know if arrogance is the right word, but stature that I felt Joker every step of this journey. Once Joker became super high profile. I didn't listen. Joker early in his career got thrown out of a playoff game because of a nasty flagrant, and the shove on the Morris twin in the back I didn't love. That was years ago. Since Joker has been face of the league adjacent, he has conducted every step perfectly. Perfectly. They tried to bait him in the postgame into saying Denver was the better team. He wouldn't do it. He was like, no, we play a 7-game series. We lose. That means they're the better team. I've got no arrows for him because he doesn't deserve any arrows. I have some arrows. A lot of my Joker angst is really media criticism. Is really talking less about him and more about my colleagues that I think were so in such a rush to press fast forward on something, they didn't let it play out, and a little bit of almost Giannis protectionism, because I thought Giannis scored 50 points to win a championship. The next year it looks like they're going to win it again. He doesn't have his Robin for the playoffs. They lose. And then all of a sudden people are like, well, Giannis is great, but you know what I mean? If you need a bucket, can you count on him? I'm like, I don't know. The guy averaged 42 points a game for the final 5 games of the finals. Like, I think you can count on him. So there was a little bit of that, I will admit, where I felt like one guy was being elevated way ahead of the other. But these are real questions now. And if you're the Nuggets, how strong of a position are you in moving forward? That's a real question too, because I watched these playoffs and Christian Brown is fine, but doesn't want to shoot and can't shoot. And that could be a problem. Peyton Watson, eliminated from the rotation. Justin Holiday's 34 years old. Now, we'll see what Najee and Strother and these young guys who got no playoff run whatsoever, what they evolve into. But life comes at you fast in this league, man. And that team is about to be a second apron, super expensive team that, when you get down to brass tacks on this, Damonza, the question they have to ask themselves is this. It's really only one question for the offseason. Well, I guess it's two. One is, do we want to, overpay to keep KCP? The answer to that is probably yes, you have to. But the other question is this. Are we shopping Michael Porter Jr.? Can we turn his $35 million into something better? That's the question they're going to have to ask themselves. Because am I ready to say, like, oh, this team can't, they've hit their ceiling, they can't win? Of course I'm not ready to say that.
A week ago,
MPJ, it looked like they were.
I feel like you get some real good stuff for MPJ. I feel like you get some good stuff for MPJ.
I think he's got to be, yes, and I think you could. I also think it's a unique spot because he hasn't shown the ability to create off the bounce at all.
The play, right?
And he's a lackadaisical defender. So he's super valuable in certain, like, they have two guys in MPJ and Aaron Gordon who might be more valuable to them than to almost anyone else. Like, Aaron Gordon would never be more valuable to any team in the league than the one he's on with Denver. Where you don't have to run a single play for him. He's going to guard the other team's best wing. He's got he's going to do the dirty work, add toughness.
Huge asset.
Huge asset for them specifically. Now, that doesn't mean there's no other team like that, but they're at the top of the list. And that was a great trade they made in acquiring him. MPJ, again, like, you need to find the right fit, and it needs to be a team that can have one of their wings never need the ball. I mean, the team that I would imagine would love to have him is the Suns, not because they could use him at all, but because they just want the same, they just want worse versions of the same archetype on down the list. And so my point is, it's real questions they have, Damonza. It's real questions.
So
in a brutal
I've got a
conference.
question for you. So Denver losing to Minnesota. How are the Lakers looking at this point? Doesn't that make them look even worse? And then you also said they've got like a top 5, top 10, change the game type of guy, and they play the Nuggets and they lose. And bad.
Wait, what do you mean a top 5, top 10 change the game type of guy?
Top 10 LeBron. You were saying that he was like one of the guys that still impacts the game on a super heavy level, and then ended up getting he got the gentleman's sweep from Denver,
I don't think the Lakers would have lost to the Nuggets with peak LeBron. I think that I don't. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think I think I saw peak LeBron dominate the league for a decade. No, I don't think they would have lost. I don't think right now the Lakers have one of those guys. They obviously don't. They have the oldest player in the league. And here's the thing that folks I think get frustrated by when it comes to trying to troll me on basketball things. I don't give a shit about the Lakers. I am not a Lakers fan. Lakers fans mostly don't like me because of the old Kobe stuff. I have no loyalty to the Lakers. I am a basketball fan, and LeBron James is my favorite player ever. Nothing would make me happier than LeBron leaving that organization that is run like the Family Dollar. Like, does it mean the Lakers were further from a championship? Sure. But it's also one of the reasons why nobody in their right mind was picking the Lakers to win the championship. Even when I picked them to beat the Nuggets, I had the Mavs winning the championship, and we'll see how that one turns out. But yeah, I don't care. I'm also not really trying to do the transitive property of series. I don't think that's the story though. But go ahead, if you have more questions, maybe ones that don't annoy me quite as much as that one, go ahead.
Yeah, so you got mad at the producers for the Chiefs-Denver comparisons, but it seems like that could still be true if Ant and the T-Wolves equal Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
So here's the problem with a number of those things, of those Mahomes and comparisons, and this is the Chiefs comparisons. So Patrick Mahomes is 28 years old, and he has his 3 championships and has been to 4 Super Bowls, the equivalent of the NBA Finals, and 6 conference finals. Nikola Jokic is older than Patrick Mahomes. He's older than him. So it's not like, oh, they're on the track the Chiefs were on. The Chiefs were on that track when my guy was 23 years old. So if we want to retroactive be like, oh, last year was the Nuggets' 2019 year and this year is their 2020. In fact, no, also, that's not even the history of it. The Chiefs followed up their first championship by getting back to the championship, is what they did. The Burrow thing happened the following year, and then they won 2 straight. So no, those and also that is where I'll get irritated. Patrick Mahomes, at worst, is going to finish as the second greatest player in the history of his sport. They're not in the same grouping, guys. They're not. And so, again, it is not fair to Joker. It's not fair to anyone with an IQ over 70. It's not fair to people who appreciate the games to compare these two. One is already a minted dynasty. The other has won 1 title. That's okay. That's where we're at. And that's minted. Fair. That's fine. If you want to, right now, the far better comp if we want to go cross sport, the far better comp for the Nuggets is the Rams. Won a championship, banner hangs forever, had a very disappointing championship defense, and then is trying to get back to that place. And last year I thought the Rams could have, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, but then I'll move on. Man, you don't want to waste the healthy seasons. And this is where the Nuggets maybe got unlucky already. Maybe the Nuggets' feeling is our championship window was cracking open in the bubble when we made those conference finals, when we had the back-to-back 3-1 comebacks against Utah and the Clippers, made the conference finals, get cracked by the Lakers. And then Jamal Murray got hurt. And 2 of our contention years were ruined by Jamal Murray's injury, which is probably accurate, right? And now we've had the next 2 years, when we've been fully healthy, we won a title, and then we, blew the biggest lead in the history of a Game 7 at home. And the point I'm making is this team doesn't have the depth in order to deal with somebody spraining an ankle and missing 3 weeks of the playoffs. And they don't have the luxury the Celtics have, which is we could lose a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, and it doesn't matter because our path to the finals is so laid out for us. The West is going to be brutal every year. And some hard financial realities are coming for the Denver Nuggets, and we'll see how they respond. But defending your title by getting 50 balled in a closeout game and then blowing the biggest Game 7 lead in the history of the sport, it's on the resume. It's not the first thing on the resume, but it's before the old story continues on page A7 part of the resume. It's on there. How long did we go, Damonza? Went 43 minutes.
So it's mirrored for me. So
okay, I've got it. We went.
Kevin Gillen
minutes.
said,
"Yeah, that's good."
I bet the kids' college fund on the over. Where do I collect my winnings?
57% said over. Those 57% were winners. Take a quick break. Talk about the other series. What's right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 238. Again, a reminder, and it's a reminder because I'm saying it multiple times because sometimes I say I'm going to talk about something on the pod, and then I'm just like, I don't have the energy. It's going to be a heavy topic, but I'm committing myself to it. Thursday's show, I'm going to use what happened with
Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler, pardon me. Thank you. And we're going to talk a little bit about the cops. And also, we haven't had a pod since Butker's comments at the graduation because we didn't have a pod last Thursday. So we'll talk a bit about that as well. So we'll do both of those things. Speaking of, by the way, the Chiefs and an offseason that has been, not without some news blotter. On Pro Football Talk, the photographer who said initially that Rashee Rice hit him at the club, evidently the photographer wants the charges dropped. So that was a weird one where the initial allegation was that Rashee texted the guy, come back to the club. The guy came back to the club and he clocked him in the face. But then the next day, the owner of the club was like
what?
What? Yeah, because so it wasn't like paparazzi photographer. It was like club photography. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're at a nightclub and they have like the person who does it for like the club's social media, something like that. It was more that type of thing, I guess. Yeah, because at first when you hear allegedly hit a photographer, you think it's one of those things like walk into your car, someone's taking a picture, you push the camera. That's the image at least I had in my head. But then the allegation was this guy was working, left, was texted, told to come back, came back, and Rashee hit him in the side of the face. I'm like, well, that's pretty bad. You're already in trouble. That's pretty bad. But then the next day, the owner of the club came out and said, none of this happened. He said, I was there and I reviewed the videotape. None of it happened. But then the police report came out, and the police report said the photographer had a visible mark on his face. So seemingly something happened to him. So it was like it was an odd story to begin with. Now, according to I think Tom Pelissero of NFL Media, says that the man said there was a misunderstanding and he wants any and all charges dropped. So that's not going to go anywhere. I don't know what did or didn't happen.
Rice.
That's the thing. The thing is this. Even if he is 100% innocent on this, okay? And this is where I'm going to... Oh, you know what? I'm going to ask your opinion, Damonza, and then we'll get back to the basketball. But there's a little breaking news on it, and I get annoyed with people who think that there are some people
address Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, I mean it's like, guys, I do like the folks who say that they act as if 100% of the content I produce is like the 7 minutes of clips a week at First Things First puts out of, you know what I mean, what I said. I'm like, guys, there's been a lot of dress that did not make it into your Twitter feed. So let me ask you this. If I sound like an old man here, if you think what I'm saying is reasonable, if you think your honest to God opinion, okay?
Okay.
If you're Rasheed Rice and the street racing thing happened and is hanging over your head, from the moment that happens until the moment it gets resolved with the NFL and with the court system, I don't want you at clubs at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a reasonable take in your opinion?
It's a reasonable take if you think the guy has the ability. It's a weird one. But yeah, I'd say that's reasonable. Are you saying like as a coach, Andy Reid, front office, whatever? Yeah, I'd say that's fair to have that stance.
I'm saying if I were his dad, if it were you, and you had made a big mistake that the consequences were pending for, right? That we don't know how much trouble you're in. And within a month, you're like out partying, I am nervous. Even if now, and I think this is, and I think my stance on that is proven by this exact thing. Because either within a month you were out partying and made another egregious decision, or within a month you were out partying, did absolutely nothing wrong, and now get drawn into more controversy. You know what I mean? Like either way, it's kind of evidence of let's just chill on the hanging out with our buddies in Dallas. Like let's just chill a bit, man. And so yeah, so there's
hey, man,
that, and
you just run the Super Bowl, man. The guy's having a good year.
I know,
you know? Having a good time.
But exactly. All right, let's get to the back to the basketball.
All right, so the Knicks players can finally get some rest. The injuries were just too much. I think Josh Hart got injured, OG was injured, and then Brunson fractured his hand at the end there. So they have their superstar in Jalen Brunson and a good supporting cast and a lot of assets. Yep. So with that said, LeBron James to the Knicks next year?
God, I'd love it. I mean, it would be awesome. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it is on the board, but not at all likely in the least. I think it's possible. I think he would fill a massive need for them. They need another piece. They obviously should spam the Suns' phone calling for Kevin Durant. I understand a lot of folks want Mikal Bridges because he's the Nova guy, and if I'm being honest, I don't think the Knicks are a Mikal Bridges away from being champions. I think then you have this awesome roster, but you don't have the guy. Well, listen, Jalen Brunson has made himself the guy, but if he's going to be your guy, you need a better number 2 than Mikal Bridges.
Heftier, right?
Right, exactly. I do want to talk about the injuries, though, because I think people are being so intellectually dishonest about the Tibbs piece of it, which is folks are acting like because of what the injuries were, that Tibbs playing his guys these insane minutes has nothing to do with the injuries. And that defies the obvious logic and the most basic point of this. Are you more likely to suffer a basketball-related injury when you're playing basketball or not?
Or on the bench? Right, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like people are like, oh, well, only OG's was an overuse injury. Yeah. But so this was the analogy that I used on the show that I'm going to use again. If I run a delivery business, okay, a courier business in New York City, and my business is known for working my guys incredibly long hours, having them run or do more deliveries than any other company, and I don't give them water breaks. And at the end of the year, I've lost 10 couriers to injury or other. And I'm like, well, hold on a second, guys. Only 2 of them was dehydration. Exactly. The other 7 got hit by cars or turned an ankle. You can't say that's on me. It's like, well, no, but they had more opportunities to get run over by somebody on an e-bike because they were out in the streets more. There are more opportunities for these guys to get hurt because of the minutes they're playing. And if take the Tibbs analogy further, if every year I ran this business around September, people wrote articles like, oh my goodness, Nick's delivery business overachieving again. Everyone said he couldn't hit these quotas with that number of employees, but look what he's doing. And then every year by Christmas time, my customers are disappointed. And I'm like, well, what do you want from me? All my guys are hurt. Like, what do you want from me? Like, well, I don't know. Adjust. I respect him as a coach. He's obviously an excellent coach. He needs to tweak this one thing, man. Every coach would love to play their best players all the minutes. Say it again.
Do they get there without him playing the players the way he does?
But I guess my point is, what is there? Do they get to round 2? Yeah, maybe. Like this was not a historic run, and I like the Knicks, but this whole thing of, and we saw it with we've seen it throughout his career. And so I just chill a little bit, bro. Especially when you wouldn't play Alec Burks unless you had family members kidnapped, and then you finally play him, and Alec Burks like, I'm all right. I might miss a few defensive rotations, but I'll help you out. Like, it's just too much. All right, let's move on.
All right, so your large Slovenian son has a chance to make it to his first finals, but Ant and the Timberwolves obviously stand in his way. So everybody's ready to crown Ant, but if Luka ends up winning the series, does it belong to Luka?
Well, no. Winning this series won't give Luka the best player in the league crown. I don't even know if winning the championship definitively will. I think that if Luka wins the title, that crown is up for grabs. With Giannis, Ant, Luka, and Jokic vying for it. Jokic, I think, is still in the pole position. Fairly. Because, yes, they lost, but they didn't lose because he no-showed. So I don't think you can't. It's not just the guy who wins the title becomes the best player in the league. That's not how it works. But it puts Luka in that territory. And here's the other thing I want to say about Luka. The guy, twice in his career, has had an all-star-ish teammate. And both times made the conference finals. When Jalen Brunson was ascending, they go to the playoffs, they make the conference finals. Last year was a bad year, no doubt about it, missed the playoffs, trade for Kyrie mid-year. This year, Kyrie, who's not even playing that great this postseason, they make the conference finals. Luka's played 7 playoff series in his career. 6 of the 7 were against top 9 defenses in the league that year. And now they're playing the number 1 defense. He already has beaten the number 1 seed twice. He's already just the 10th guy in NBA history to be the best player on a multi-time conference finalist before he turns 26 years old. Like, the guy's a legendary player. And I think they can win the title. Go ahead, Damonza.
You think he stopped? If Luka wins the finals, will he be the runaway MVP for next season?
Well, he's always in contention for it. I think he'll start with a lead. Yeah, absolutely. But what was the other question you were going to ask?
He stopped Jalen Brunson. I feel like Jalen Brunson left Dallas and immediately sprouted. Do you think that Luka was responsible for any of his?
So here's the thing on that. Jalen Brunson. So I think Jalen Brunson, what happened with him was he got way better as a player, right? So Jalen Brunson was he a second round pick or into first round pick? Hold on, I got to look. I think he was a second round pick, but I got to look. So Jalen Brunson was an early second round pick. Yes. Yeah. And so his first year in the league, he was 9 points a game. His second year in the league, he was 8 points a game. His third year in the league, he showed something, was 13 points a game. And then that year, let me make sure I have this right. Yeah. That year in the playoffs was brutal. And wasn't really all that playable in the playoffs. But you know what? Brutal's unfair. He wasn't brutal. Carlisle didn't trust him, is what it was. He didn't get many opportunities. He was 16 minutes a game and 8 points a game. So it's unfair to say, but it was a tough matchup for him against those Clippers. And the Mavs didn't pay him because of that. And then the next year he ascended, and in the postseason was 21 a game after in the regular season being 16 a game. He's just gotten better and better as a player. Now, would he have turned into this alongside Luka? No, because they're but I think that's because of the style of players they are. They both need the ball so much.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's fair.
And so I don't think Luka was holding him back. I think he's a very undersized score first guard that took a lot of time to develop. All right, and we'll talk more. Go ahead.
Is that what would you describe Kyrie's game as? Because I know he's been shape shifting and playing different to what they need, but what would you say? Because I was about to say, is that not what Kyrie is? Slightly.
It is, except Kyrie had those 3 years playing with LeBron, so he learned how to be his best self alongside a guy that's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. And Kyrie's more of a dead-eye shooter than Jalen. And so, those two things, I think. But, yeah, that's why I thought the Kyrie-Luka fit wasn't going to be a great one. And Kyrie's had to take a lesser role. And Kyrie, to his credit, man.
He's playing to it.
And his maturity and leadership has been awesome. I really think Kyrie, I think that post the video when he was with the Nets, when I think that was a really I think that was a really hard moment for him because he was being accused of being anti-Semitic, and I think, and I said at the time, and I'll say it again, I don't think Kyrie is a hateful. I don't think hate is part of how he operates at all. I think he can be stubborn and hard-headed, and I think that to this day, I don't believe Kyrie actually watched that 2-hour movie. That he posts a clip on Instagram. It turns out the movie he's talking about actually, paints Hitler in a positive light. Kyrie's then asked about it because he's, kind of, anti-establishment. He's more like, bleep you. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I believe, and then it snowballs on him. I think that was a bit of a scarring experience from him, and I think he grew because of it. Yeah. And I think that Kyrie he clearly takes being a leader, a cultural leader, seriously. And I think that finally he has matured to the point of understanding so much of his ability to lead and to impact communities financially and otherwise is generated from his brilliance as a basketball player. And that was being put into question because of, he was missing games and wasn't on playoff runs and all those things. And I think he's a more committed defensive player than ever before. I think he's been more mature. I think he's been trying to be like the wise elder. He's the oldest star left in the playoffs at 31 years old. Like,
it's crazy.
I've been super impressed by Kyrie. Impressed. And
turnaround.
He hasn't even played great. And despite that, the Mavs find themselves in the conference finals. All right, next.
All right, so my Celtics continue this treacherous path to the finals. They've got the Pacers up next. Boston opened at minus 1,200 favorites. Is it worth watching, or should I just tune in to June 6th?
For game 1 of the finals.
I will.
I mean, it's worth watching, but they're
gonna give him. They're gonna give him a game or two. I honestly think they might give him 2. I know they're gonna give him 1.
Well, listen, it's hard to sweep. There's no doubt about that. It's hard to sweep.
It's hard to this matchup. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's easiest the sweep should possibly be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and Pacer fans, I get why you're annoyed at how Game 7 was presented, because the game broadcast should give each team equal time, so to speak. But this isn't the game broadcast. This is my podcast, and I'm not interested in the Pacers. I'm just not. I mean, shout out to Halliburton for rallying in that series against the Knicks after a really tough start to the series. They're a good story, but they're multiple pieces away.
But they had the most efficient shooting night in a Game 7 win in Madison Square Garden.
I'm happy for them, but I'm not. But they don't have any chance.
Something to look out for there. I'm
not going to. No, but I'm not going to pretend like they have a chance to win the series. They don't. And so the Celtics are going to be in the finals, and we'll talk more about the Celtics as we get closer to the finals. All right. We've got I'm not going to do the poker thing today because I don't have time to do it. We'll take a quick break, come back, and answer a few questions. Next, What's Right? All right, welcome back in. What's Right with Nick Wright. All right, Damonza, let's get to a few listener questions before I go.
Shams reports the Lakers think that JJ Redick has Pat Riley like potential. What do you think of LeBron's the Lakers' opinion?
So I think that the Lakers, the thing they most like about the idea of hiring JJ Redick is it'll create buzz, and if it doesn't work out, they can act like LeBron made them do it. When I know definitively for a fact LeBron has not commented one time to the Lakers about this coaching search. The Lakers are a poorly run team that make a lot of their decisions not based on what's the best possible decision, but what's the decision that if it doesn't work out, we can keep our jobs despite it. So that's what I think. I'm not excited about the idea of the Lakers hiring a first-time head coach who's never even been an NBA assistant. It's also why I hope LeBron James is not on the Lakers next year, but I think he will be. Next.
Scott Murphy asked, are the Celtics in a lose-lose with non-Boston NBA fans? If they don't win, it'll be a failed season. But if they do, it'll be chalked up to an easy path against the injured, weak East. Scott Murphy asked this question. Like once a week now.
So here's the thing. Are you talking about the conference finals or the finals? If they don't win the conference finals, it will be a failed season. If they lose as minus 1,400 favorites to the Pacers, it is a failure. Okay? Let me make that clear. Now that you get to the finals, it's not lose-lose if you win the championship. If you win the championship, no one will care what the path to the finals was. You will be playing either Luka or Ant in the finals. And if you win, the way to make it not a lose-lose is to win. But if you make the finals through this path and then get rolled by one of these two teams, yeah, people are going to say, you know, that you made the finals, but were you the fourth best team in the sport that year? Were the Mavs, the Thunder, the Nuggets all better than you? And that'll be a fair conversation. So go win the championship and it's not a problem. Next.
Bradley Hammond asked, can you give us a few players whose future with their current team is most tied to how this season ends? Might not even be a player on the one of the remaining teams.
Well, you always have to include Jaylen Brown because if the Celtics don't win the championship, his name always comes up in trade conversations. So there's one. Kevin Durant, I don't know what his future with the Suns is going to be. Donovan Mitchell as well. As far as teams, players on the remaining teams, no, Jaylen Brown's the only one. All right, let's go to Damonza.
Dylan L. Nick, what historical NFL team is your comp for the Wolves so far these playoffs?
So I saw that question. I don't know that I have a great answer.
Cam Newton's Panthers? Sorry. This is a bad one.
No, that's not a bad one. But that team was 15-1 and Cam was the league MVP. This is like a team based on defense that seems to be there early. Russell Wilson's Seahawks is my answer. And when in year 2, they win the whole thing. And they beat Peyton Manning in Denver. Oh, they beat Denver in the Super Bowl. So off the top of my head, Russell Wilson's Seahawks. All right, last one.
Genghis Khan asked, Nick, what happens to your Scoot Henderson over Wemby call? That's out the window,
it was a bad Rookie of the Year pick.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it by the way, it was not a career length call. It was
That's what
this
I thought it
season.
was for a second.
It was for that I picked Scoot to win Rookie of the Year because I thought he was going to be more NBA ready, and I thought Wemby might not play the requisite games. But I clearly undervalued Wemby and clearly overvalued Scoot. Again, folks try to be like, gotcha. Guys, when I'm wrong, it doesn't happen that often, but when I'm wrong, I admit it. The Scoot over
Wemby would be good with the Knicks?
Category 3. What?
No, I know that he's. I know that. Do you think Wemby would be good with the Knicks?
Yeah, I think he's good with every team. But why are you bringing that up?
No, because you were saying like the Knicks, that piece that they're missing. I know the Spurs aren't interested in giving
I
Wemby
think
up,
prime Bill Russell would be good with the Knicks, but he's not available. I mean, R.I.P. But Wemby's not available. They could offer the deed to Madison Square Garden. He's not available. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys that could. I think Joker would be good with the Knicks. They should call and see if they can get him. He's not available. No, I'm sorry. I was ending the show and you threw out, do I think Wemby'd be good with the Knicks? Yeah. I think Justin Jefferson be pretty good with the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to be able to get him. Sorry, pal. I didn't mean to flame you at the end, but you just threw that out there. It's just a bad take. Yeah, I think he'd be great with the Knicks. They should call. Go tell Worldwide West. Call San Antonio. See if they'll take a couple future twos. Damonza, great job. Everyone, great job. Daniel, sorry your team ended up being a one-time champ. No problem with that, though. You still get to hang that banner. Talk to you guys on Thursday. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor, go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, we're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So like, subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.